Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. And keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, today we're going to take a look at finding stocks to trade or to invest in using scanners or screeners. Now, one thing I'll mention at the beginning is that I sort of use scanner and screener interchangeably. I'm sure there's some technical difference out there, but to me, I'm looking for certain criteria and stocks that fit that criteria. Some places like Webull here call it screener. Other places, like we'll look at in a minute, call it, Thinkorswim, they call it a scanner. So there you go. But so if I use those interchangeably, just know I technically mean the same thing. The other thing would be, it is really hard to find stocks to trade. You probably have your go-to list, things that are sort of top of mind that you kind of refer back to repeatedly. And, you may have encountered periods of time where just little to nothing is happening with them. Or if, for instance, you only play stocks long, if there's a period of downturn, it can probably be pretty challenging to just rely on what you have top of mind. Now, I know some folks then end up reverting to like Twitter or X, Reddit, stock twits, that sort of thing. And if that works for you, that's great. You should continue to use that. I also know a lot of people get bagged that way because a lot of people who are promoting stuff there are doing so very much for their own benefit. And we've certainly seen that proved out and surfaced in the past, right? So screeners, scanners seems to me to be a really good way of just saying, here's the input of what I'm looking for, just spit me out a list and I'll take a look at it from there. I like that idea, and so that's what we're going to go over today. Now we're going to start here on Webull, but probably whatever software you're using should have some form of screener or scanner in it. Even like Robinhood app, I think has like preloaded, I think they call them like collections or something, which is, it's the Robinhood way to do it for sure. But you can find things that are, in my opinion, better options. This Webull screener is really solid, and then we'll talk about Thinkorswim scanner, and then we'll actually look at some that are just web-based, where you can just open your web browser, type in a website, and go there. And so that way, if you don't have this software, you can just do that. So here on Webull, here's the screener icon. You click that, come in here. Now there's a couple of options. One, it just gives you this blank screener where you can then select different filters that you want to use. It does also have other options, and some of them are preloaded. So, this will give you top options. These are tops. I think that's, top gainers, top losers, active, highest volume, 52-week highs and lows, and then you can just do ETFs and bonds. Now, for screeners, if you're just looking for stocks, you want to figure out what it is that you're searching for. And if you're not familiar with a bunch of these financial indicator terms, or I guess any of these terms, you should just go ahead and start Googling, looking them up, familiarizing yourself with them. And for the ones that you say, oh yeah, I'd like to check out stocks that fit that criteria, just commit it to memory. For ones that you don't, you can forget it and clear out some space for some other stuff. So figure out what you want to do here. If you want to filter them by region, as in United States, you can do that. If you want to go by exchange, you can add that in, right? So you can do US and NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, so on and so forth. Or if you want to get rid of something, you can uncheck it. Here, we can't actually uncheck that one, but for this one, for example, we can uncheck market cap and we can do last price. So if you just want to look for stocks that are above or below a certain price, say you're looking for stocks just in the $5 to $15 range or something like that, right? You can do it that way. Or maybe you're just looking for ones that are, $80 to $112, something like that, right? And you can see the results update really quickly. Part of the reason why I like Webull here is just as you make adjustments, you very quickly see how many matches you have. Because sometimes you're going to throw in combos of stuff, and it's going to return little to no results, and you might want to have more results than that. So you might want to adjust your filters accordingly. Now, those are the quotes, and then, financial indicator, some folks are really fixated on the earnings per share. Some folks want to know what the revenue of a certain company is, cost of revenue, total revenue, dividends, whatever it is, their PE ratio. So again, if you're not familiar with these things, just go ahead and Google these terms, these acronyms. You can easily find them out that way, and you can filter accordingly. Now, this is where it can get a little bit tricky. So you see here, they have like MA, I'll go EMA, exponential moving average. And you see here, this then brings up EMA. Now, what this is going to say is you want to select an EMA here, and these are preloaded by Webull. As far as I know, there isn't a way to adjust these, right? And I don't use these exact EMAs, but what I do is, because I use the 183 as my long-term EMA, is if I want to look for stocks that are below the 183, then I'll just put 120, right? Because then I know it's going to include the 183. So if I say EMA 120 is below price, there you go. Or you can say EMA 10 is, you can go below EMA 5, right? So maybe you're looking for a crossover there. And so, there's definitely a bunch of different options here, looking for different crossovers, looking for where the price is situated as it pertains to certain factors. And that's where you would, go ahead and take care of that. The other nice thing about Webull, I would say, is it preloads a bunch of these technical signals. Now, this is often whittling down the results here really quickly. So if you look at something like MACD technical signal, so you want bullish signal, medium to long term, sure. So that gets us down to 247. You can also throw in something like an analyst rating, and say you want buys and strong buys. 58 matches. There you go. That's not too many to get through. Right now, you might want to adjust this. I didn't adjust this. ROE, you might not care about that at all. You might want to go PE ratio. It's something that I've sort of filtered by before, but depends again on what you're looking for. Now, you do have the opportunity to save screeners, which is super helpful. The ones that I'm using are these 5 are the ones that I'm using right now. 2022, I actually can't remember exactly what it was that I was filtering for here. Okay, so market cap, volume, which is common for me. Okay, and the MA5 crossover the MA10. That's basically it. So very simple, but not a ton of results there. 36, so that's pretty solid. I like something in sort of like the few dozen range. If it gets into like the high double digits, that feels like a lot to me. If it's below like 30 or so, it doesn't feel like quite enough to me. Undervalued stock screener, I think, is actually something that maybe was a preload, but I can't recall. But it is based off of the PE ratio and market cap PE ratio. That maybe earnings was on there as well, but no, I guess not. But I think this was a preload of something that Webull had or has still available. Now, these ones are my more recent ones. These ones I probably use much more frequently, but yeah, 6 is tough. Here I was looking for market cap again, ROE. Okay, so again, just look this stuff up. ROA, so matching the ROE, the ROA, but this is where we're really whittling down, right? 1 MA condition, price above the 120. So I'm looking for like, stocks with strong financials and that are in a bullish formation in this stock screener. Reverse potential, I'm basically looking for the opposite here. Really focused on stocks that are below a longer term EMA, like the 120 that we talked about, but are showing potential for movement to and through that EMA. So the potential there to reverse. High turnover, this is based off of stocks that are just having a lot of volatility, a lot of volume recently. So that's something I've been looking at a lot lately. Let me see what the, yeah, I just focus on the turnover rate and lower priced stocks. Yeah. And you can always just come in and adjust them if that ends up to not be exactly what you're looking for. Or you can go ahead and save a different one. Now, we'll talk about this when we go to the web-based one. Sometimes I do come in and just look at the relative volume to see what stocks have had a significant increase in their relative volume in the last few trading days. This is 10-day. I think, I'm going off of memory here, but I think as I looked into it with Webull, I think that's based off of trading days, so it would be sort of a standard 2-week trading period. So it has, something like 5 times the trading volume relative to that of the last 10 days. I actually prefer to look for stocks that have like relative volume. It doesn't have to be 5 times, but something like over 100% increase. But I like to look for periods like the last 30 to 60 days is my preference, but it's hard to come by free screeners that are just offering that up. Maybe that's something that'll come down the pike, but you can look for shorter term stuff here, and maybe to some degree it is helpful. But that's another thing, that if you are sort of like chasing volume and you want to try to get out in front of it, see where volume is sort of pouring in, and the price action might not be sort of following suit yet. That's one way that you can do that. Now, coming over here to the Thinkorswim study, the scanner that I have here is a personalized scanner, but there's a bunch of preloaded ones. Oh, that just hides it. Let me see here. So load scan query. So here you have personal ones, but there's a bunch of public ones. So you can come in, look at the public ones. I was going to say, I know that this looks confusing. I don't know if that's true to you. To me, Thinkorswim always looks confusing. So I understand that you might want to look at some videos or tutorials or whatever that just sort of take you through Thinkorswim setups, and like what you're looking at. That's going to be way too much for us to get into in this video. And honestly, there's going to be folks who do it much, much better because they're just more knowledgeable than I am. One of those, before we get too far, I don't think you can see this, but this is Sadiland. So if you just go to sadiland.com, you'll end up on the homepage, but you can go to /scanners, and you can then look at pre-built scanners that you can load into different software. He even has one for like unusual whales, and then directs you to his Discord for other ones as well. He developed the one that I use here, which is, I adjusted it a little bit, but it's predominantly the way that he set it up, TTM squeeze indicator. So looking for stocks that are triggering on the TTM squeeze indicator. I did a video on TTM squeeze indicator you can look at in this playlist. But I'm looking for stocks that are doing that are of a certain volume, a certain beta. And this gives me, here you see a pretty lengthy list to look through, right? So then I can end up looking at stocks of just a certain price point or a certain sort of like, what do I want to say? Like social score value. It sounds too like, sounds too like the Chinese credit score, Chinese social score. What I mean is sort of how much attention they're getting in the social sphere, like meme-ish kind of things, So, but there's a bunch of different ways, and you can even sort them. You don't have to sort by volume. You can sort by any other of these many options. I mean, that's the nice thing about Thinkorswim. You just have like options up the wazoo, but is also what then sort of contributes to it looking and feeling a bit overwhelming and maybe confusing. So check out Sadiland, just Google around, see what else seems like it could be helpful. TradingView.com/screener does give you a pretty decent free scanner, or free screener. I guess they're calling this screener. And you can, again, change your different criteria that you want. I typically come in and just take this as it is and look at the relative volume, because I actually find this to be more useful to look at than the Webull relative volume screener that I showed you. Can't remember exactly why that is. Oh, because I can see the net change here. Because what I want to see is something with a high relative volume like this, but that it's barely moved the stock price yet. And as you see, a bunch of them that have relative volume have huge swings one way or the other so far, right? The tricky thing here is sometimes you'll get ones like this, where I'm not sure exactly where this is traded, BTAFF, but I end up having to look for sort of like 3 and 4 letter symbols, and then even sometimes that's not foolproof, because CSTF here, I don't know what that's traded on, but you can see the last price. so that's that. But yeah, if you scroll down here, I don't know if we could find like one that's decent at the moment that would stand out to me, and that's the thing. That's why it's hard to find stocks, right? Sometimes you'll just be looking and like nothing will jump out, and that's why it's good to have different setups, different things for you to look for before you just say, oh, can't find anything today, and that might end up sort of being the case. But I would maybe look and see what SLXN is trading at $1.89, minus 2.5, volume of 6.99, but the relative volume is 54. So maybe something there is sort of going on. Always interesting if some of that or a bulk of that is insider trading volume as well. So, but that's sort of like dream case scenario. And it can be hard to get that information quickly enough to know that that's where that volume's coming from. That's pretty tricky, especially without paying for that information. But yeah, I would say screwing around with tradingview.com/screener is helpful, especially if the software that you use just doesn't have anything that's useful to you. In other words, if you're not using Webull or Thinkorswim, using something else, and you just don't have a good scanner, a good screener, I do think a good web-based screener is what they offer here on TradingView. For what I've seen anyway, it seems to be like it's a really good option, and you can't beat the price, right? So, all right, folks, so I hope that this was helpful to some degree. If there's anything that I could add any clarity on or whatever, feel free to drop me a comment, let me know. I can try to clean some things up, or I could try to add another video as sort of like an addendum and tack on some additional info if it would be helpful. But in any case, I hope that your trading week is going well, and I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.